We're here to stand up for writing, to release it from its tested straitjacket, to properly recognise its place alongside listening, speaking, and reading. It's language. It comes from the head, the heart, and the body. I believe it comes first from the heart and the body. We asked children what writing has been most important for them. A 6-year-old told us that it was the first full sentence she had written. I love my mum. And an 8-year-old told us that it's personal writing because it's her life. Writing contains all the possibilities of language, intellectual and emotional, individual and social. It's as much about writing that list that organises your day as it is about writing the great British novel or composing that killer application form that gets you the interview. What matters to us? It's the letter written to our future spouse on the eve of our wedding day. It's the funeral oration. It's the note scribbled on the back of an envelope that captures the birth of your child. It's those blueys written to a father at war. It's the word count that signals, my goodness, you've nearly finished the dissertation. It's the note on the kitchen counter. It's the blog you wrote on your gap year. We want all those possibilities to be available to everyone we teach. No matter who they are, no matter what their experience is. We want everyone to be comfortable with writing and to be able to use it when they want to. Anne Enright, who, describing her experience of the MA in Creative Writing at UEA, said that writing can't be taught. Writing is learned from the inside out. Yes, in order to grow as writers, we need to experience what writing is like. We need to make writing our own. Children are born artists, thinkers, makers of works. Their early lives as writers begin well before they can shape the letters on the page. And then they go on, their creative impulses, their difficulties, the challenges are very, very similar to adult writers. They've just been on this earth rather less time than we have. And so our job as educators is to be fellow practitioners, to be fellow writers, to provide an environment that depends on inspiration, that invites everyone into the written word, that gives good, solid feedback. Emily, Georgia and I write together. Emily and I write together at a teacher's workshop. Emily, Georgia and I write together in lessons. And Emily, Georgia and I write together in writing club. They thought we were mad when we said at Ockhold School, we want anyone to be able to come to writing club from reception through to year 6. They thought we were completely bonkers. You should come. The atmosphere is fantastic and it's really good fun. As you can tell, probably already, we all love writing. We know that not everyone does, but we want writing to be there for people when they need it.
I write at home for me. I love to write stories where my imagination goes wild. I like to write because I can and I enjoy it. It gives me something to do and my worries. I think writing at school is very important. It gives everyone a chance to learn this valuable skill. When I am older, I hope to write a book of my own, and I will always write in my free time as a hobby.
Well, I'm a primary school teacher with year 5 and 6 children, and I'm also a writing teacher, both in the sense that I teach writing and I'm a teacher who writes. Writing organises my life through lists and post-it notes. It also provides my students with feedback, and it helps me to reflect on my practice. I also write for myself and with others, teachers and children, to help me to make better sense of the world and education.
I love to write. I write first in order to think, to make sense of things, to pin things down, to let them loose. I write to provoke and entertain others, but above all, I write for myself.
Now, I'm sure those of you working in education, particularly primary education, will understand the difficulties facing both teachers and children concerning writing within the current curriculum. There is a huge focus on the technical, grammatical elements of writing. And we believe that instead of equipping children with necessary skills, this crushes their confidence in themselves as writers. It instills a fear and resistance to a skill which should be accessible to everyone. I would like the children in my class to know that what they write matters. The content is paramount. Not to worry if they cannot yet master the art of using a semicolon or yet identify a fronted adverbial. They are 10 years old. They've been writing for maybe only 5 years. And like any skill or craft, it takes a long time to become proficient. Now, I believe that we can and we do maintain high standards and high expectations for our children without placing the whole focus on spelling, punctuation, and grammar. I wholeheartedly agree that they are important aspects of writing, but they are also things which will develop over time. Firstly, and most importantly, children must be enthused to write. They must learn to have the confidence to play with words and enjoy language, make it serve a purpose for themselves as individuals. I have beautiful writers in my class, and they do not all use a parenthesis in the correct place. And I can guarantee they cannot all explain what a subordinate clause is. But their writing is a creative outlet. It's a form of communication, and for many of those children, it's a means of catharsis. Their writing helps me to better understand them as individuals, and it helps them to have a voice. Teachers and students must take back their right to write.
Change needs to start with us. Many teachers are already damaged by some kind of writing tyranny. Maybe we are afraid of writing. And if we are afraid of writing, we take that fear into the classroom. And so we must rediscover writing for ourselves and work out what it is that we enjoy about writing. What's important about writing for us? One way of doing that is to join a teacher's writing group. And in 2009, Simon Wrigley and I founded the UK National Writing Project, and that fosters teachers' writing groups. And you should perhaps look to see if there's a group near you, or whether you are inspired to start a group yourself. And if you live in Norwich, and I know there are fantastic writing teachers in the room, there is a group that meets at UEA. And we have fun. It's relaxing. You wouldn't think so at the end of a school day, but people come away refreshed. We learn from each other, and we learn what writing is like from the inside out. We take those deep understandings back into our classrooms. There's not one way of doing it. We each take those understandings and use them in the classrooms in the ways that work for us. So what do we learn? We learn writing is complex and tentative and playful, that we can't always get it right, and that often it's difficult. We learn not to be afraid to put pen to paper, to treat words, to take care of words, and to respect the words of others. Teaching writing involves openness and generosity and not imposing systems, listening carefully, and not making assumptions about writers, and not making assumptions about what a writer might want to write just at this moment.
So we think, as you can guess, that it's important to take note of how children write and how they view writing. So we've been asking children of all ages in my school about what they think of writing. We're also keeping a record of how writing happens across a school year in a primary school. So George is going to help us by answering, in her own words, some of the kinds of questions that we've been asking. Georgia, firstly, how do you think you learn to be a writer?
I think you just do it, and with more practice, it develops and becomes better. And I think what you learn in lessons, you take in and use in your own way and use it in your writing.
Fantastic. That's actually a really interesting point, because as teachers, we get a bit obsessed with outcomes and fulfilling learning objectives and success criteria. But actually, the thing with writing is that it doesn't necessarily come immediately. Things might pop up weeks later in a child's work. So the challenge for teachers is learning to be patient, knowing that there may not be evidence of learning inside one lesson alone. Okay, what do you think you can use writing for?
There are no limits, because wherever you go, you will always need writing. Even if you're a doctor or a scientist, you'll still need writing.
Fantastic. And you told us that above all, you like to write stories. And interestingly, that's what almost every single child in the school said. So can you tell us a little bit more about what happens when you write a story?
When you write a story, it takes over, and your imagination goes out of control.
Sounds amazing. Okay, you also mentioned earlier that you use writing to manage your worries. Could you expand on that a bit more?
I was struggling with my anxieties, so my dad got me a book, and before I went to bed, I'd write all my worries in it. And once it is shut, it was as if they'd gone away for the night, so I could get to sleep more easily.
Georgia, why do you write?
I write for me, for the pleasure of it.
Do you think that any kinds of writing are more important than others?
As long as you know the basics by childhood, then you can expand from there. You definitely miss out if you can't read or write. My nan couldn't. The world is nasty in so many ways. You need something like this to lighten things. All writing is important, and all writing is equally as hard. Not more important, just different types of writing.
Georgia, do you think of yourself as a writer?
I think everybody's a writer.
Becoming a writer cannot be done for you. Teachers hold a privileged position of nurturing young writers as they begin their writing journey. The role of the teacher is to feed the student and keep them safe so that they can begin to take risks, especially for young writers. We cannot simply stuff them with rules and structures. We have to have the confidence in our teaching and in the environments that we create to know that children are learning writing from the inside out. From generation to generation, writing remains a powerful language tool. We do not know how those we teach will end up using it. Our job is to make it possible for children to choose what writing can do for them. Thank you.
Welcome.